Hi, my name is Leanna Christmas and welcome to my Ignite presentation. I will be focusing on Strategy 5, using evidence of students' learning needs to determine the next steps in teaching. So first, one must ask themselves, exactly what am I talking about? Since you're so curious, I'm talking about the way many first-year teachers plan, instruct, assess, and grade. The lesson is taught, but what if the learner didn't get the lesson? So do not fear, there is something that can fix that. It's called the feedback loop. This loop is forgotten or even not known by many teachers, which impacts the learners negatively. Teaching is adapted based on student responses so that teaching is responsive. Regular and specific improvement points are used to close learning gaps so that learning is informed. To break it down, if you want to be an effective teacher, then build the feedback loop into your instructional sequence. But wait, you're thinking, okay, but how do I do that? What are you saying? Can you show me? Now that we are all going to be effective teachers, first identify the type of learning needs. After instruction and students were given a clear and measurable learning target, we need to determine if the students mastered the set learning target. We must do that by assigning a task, and after that task there are three options. 1, grade what they've done and move on. 2, reteach the lesson. Or 3, figure out your students' learning needs in relation to the target and teach them to those needs. I wonder which one is the best. The choice is number 3. You're right. But try to contain some of that excitement because there's more to it, of course. There are 3 types of learning needs which I will address, so do not worry. The first learning need is errors due to incomplete understanding. This is when students' work demonstrates that they know something partially and are ready for further instruction. Now that we have a problem, what about a solution? Well, I'm glad you asked. Since students haven't necessarily and accurately learned what was taught, in general, the solution is simple. The next step involves further instruction rather than reteaching or simply marking incorrect. Boom, problem solved. What about what's next? The next learning need is errors due to flaws in reasoning. This means that students display patterns of reasoning that adhere to the rules for their successful application, but patterns may still lead to missteps. To overcome flaws in reasoning, it is important to help students first identify the flaw, introduce the students to the rubric that will be used for assessment, and also allow students to examine strong and not so strong examples and allow them to decide based on the rubric what the strengths and the flaws are. The last learning need is errors due to misconceptions. This is also known as alternative conceptions, which involves students either having learned something inaccurately or having internalized an explanation for a phenomenon that does not fit with the current best understanding. The challenge with misconceptions is to identify them accurately and then plan lessons to dislodge them. Misconceptions are stubborn and take a lot of planning to get rid of them. The teaching challenge is to cause conceptual change, meaning students consciously dismantle the old rule to accept and hold on to a new one. Earlier, I mentioned assigning a task to determine if the students mastered the learning target. But what kind of task will do such a thing? Checking homework and noting of types of problems in students' work, open-ended questions, whether verbal or written, and formal tasks such as quizzes and tests. But I do not recommend quizzes and tests because those are weighted heavily in the student's overall grade. So we do not want to discourage the student and take their confidence before we determine what's truly going on. After these types of learnings have been identified, we can use learning trajectories to provide the diagnostic information. The learning trajectories, such as learning progressions, provide a way to organize and flesh out instruction. Keep these 3 guidelines in mind. 1, progressions must be based on the most accurate understanding. 2, teachers must be able to understand deeply enough to be able to use them. And 3, not all students follow the same path to mastery. One size does not fit all. When implementing your diagnostic, remember that all of this is only successful for the student if and only if there is a well-designed learning trajectory so that there's a way to truly determine what is next, like instructing the student to identify details and examples when reading a text. So avoid feeling like kissing Kate Barlow here, or even the students feeling like that after assessment. Try adding this feedback loop into your teaching and to see the results yourself. Thank you.